Yeah, that's right. We'll take a look at the different kind of winter alerts, how to prepare your vehicle for the winter season, taking a look at how winter has changed over time. And then we'll also have what everyone is waiting for, the 2024-2025 winter prediction. Keith?
Well, thanks a lot, Colin. You know, just as spring storms have alerts and watches and warnings, so do winter storms. It's a good place to start for us here. When a watch is issued for potentially impactful storms, it means that significant precipitation is possible in the next 12 to 48 hours. And if that threat becomes more likely, a warning or advisory will follow. So you need to be alert and think about what you can do to prepare. Now, a warning means that a significant winter precipitation event is occurring or is imminent, and travel will likely become hazardous. So in that situation, you need to take action to make sure that you're prepared for what is to come. Now, three of the more common alerts that we'll see are a winter weather advisory, a winter storm warning, and perhaps even a blizzard warning. A winter weather advisory may be issued when 3 to 5 inches of snow are expected, or there might be some impactful ice or mixed precipitation event that could be expected. Now, a winter storm warning is a level up that's issued when at least 6 inches of snow are expected over a 24-hour period or less. And of course, a blizzard warning is at the top, and that's issued when sustained strong wind will cause enough blowing snow, either falling or from the ground up, to reduce visibility to less than 1/4 of a mile for at least 3 hours. Will?
Yeah, Keith, thanks. With winter fast approaching, we wanted to quickly go over some of the different types of precipitation you might encounter. And first, of course, we've got rain. Hopefully you've heard of it. Rain happens when temperatures are above freezing from the cloud to the ground. Simple enough, right? Well, next is freezing rain. This happens when rain falls through a really shallow layer of sub-freezing air near the ground, this causing it to freeze on contact with surfaces like roads and trees. Freezing rain is easily the trickiest and most dangerous type of winter precip. Now, then you have sleet. Now, the difference here is that layer of sub-freezing air above the ground is a little bit deeper. Now, that allows for the rain to freeze into ice pellets before reaching the ground. You'll hear sleet tapping on your window or crunching as you walk. Now, finally, we have snow, everyone's favorite, right? Snow, fairly straightforward. If the entire air column from the cloud to the ground is below freezing, then of course you get ice crystals that fall to the ground as snow. Now here in Michigan, there are times we see all 4 in one day. Jeff has more on how you can make sure your vehicle is ready for whatever winter throws at us.
We'll appreciate it. Thank you very much. Protecting yourself and your vehicle in the wintertime is a lot more than just checking your tire tread with a penny. I'm sure you've heard about that also. John Dickman, service manager from Goodyear for nearly 40 years, breaks down the bare necessities. I'm joined by service manager John Dickman here from Goodyear. John, we're coming off of a winter that was really kind of lackluster, didn't have a lot of snow. We think that's going to be different this coming winter. You're going to help us keep the vehicle safe, keep you safe, and everything in between, right?
Absolutely. Gonna just pour this underneath the wheels.
Okay.
If you break traction, you know, ice in a parking lot, something like that.
Okay.
You don't really need any more than this. You're not going to salt the whole parking lot.
Talk about the importance of having a flashlight.
1,001 uses. The most obvious is if you have to jump start the car in the middle of the night. I like the reflective triangle more than I like the flare.
Yeah.
Flares are temporary.
Okay.
These will work anytime light hits them. And basically all you have to do is sit them up on their stand right there. I wouldn't necessarily keep the whole case. I would keep 2-3 bottles. If you're going to be sitting there a while waiting for, if you have to call a tow truck, if you're going to be sitting there a while waiting for it. Now, if you get thirsty, you can drink a little bit of water. Whatever you do, don't eat snow.
Sort of walk us through the utility of one of these, because I think they're fabulous.
A couple of different things. One, it's going to be good for keeping your phone charged because it's got the USB ports. It's also got a flashlight on it. But it also has a port where you can put these little mini jumper cables on it.
It's coming down, you know, inches per hour and so forth. Invaluable to have one of these, right?
It is. And even more than that, even around the metro area, you're going to find a spot where 2 snowplows have pushed snow up into a pile. If you've got a car that rides pretty low and you come up to the intersection and stop, you're going to be sitting right there. It's just like a toboggan.
Jumper cables, an absolute must. If you don't have them in your vehicle, you don't know where they are, find them or go get them.
Or go get them.
Right?
Yeah. I found a pretty good pair at Napa. It was $20.
Okay.
With our battery right here, what we want to do is we want to free up the positive cable, hook that cable on, go to the negative side, the black cable with the black jumper cable, put that cable on.
So positive has to be first.
Red to red, black to black.
Okay.
On the vehicle that you're boosting off of, connect the black one first, connect the red one last. There'll be a little spark, don't worry about it. If you get them wrong, you'll know it. Almost universally, it will be right by the radiator. It may not have a radiator cap on it like this, but there will be a recovery tank here. Make sure the coolant's in the recovery tank to the proper line. And it would not be a bad idea to have the coolant tested before it gets cold.
How do you know that your coolant is low?
There'll be a mark right on the side of the bottle right here. And this one is actually just a titch over.
This is an easy one to handle, but if you don't have it, it's a major problem.
And every gas station has it. Every Myers has it. Every auto parts store has it. In the wintertime, I prefer buying the lowest freeze point that you can get.
Okay.
It will be okay here, but in the tubing up to the windshield wipers themselves, that gets a little colder and it can freeze there. If there's no light on the dash telling you it's low, just open it up and look in the washer reservoir. It's that simple.
And a final thought here, there's a lot of young drivers out there. What's a message that you would send to them before it's December and January?
Slow down. If you think you're going slow enough, slow down. You need to slow down more.
A good snow brush and scraper will go a long way as you're clearing all windows and your side mirrors. And John Dickman tells me in our Michigan climate, a good battery will last 3 to 4 years. It's always a good idea to have it tested before the first flakes fly. Keith.
Oh, those are definitely some good tips to remember. Last winter, was certainly memorable here in West Michigan for being uncommonly warm with much less than average snowfall. As you can see how it fell here, and it didn't fall very much. Our meteorological winter, which spans, by the way, from the beginning of December to the end of February, was the second warmest on record. The December average temperature was 9 degrees above average, and the February average was up by an incredible 11 degrees. It was the warmest February on record. So as you might expect, snowfall was well below average. We hardly had any snow in December or in February. Our average for the 3 months is about 50 inches. But in those 3 months last winter, we only had about a third of that. But less snowfall doesn't necessarily mean less precipitation. And as one climate scientist at Western Michigan University explains, we are seeing more rain and less snow.
I think the most possible reasons for the decline of the snowfall is we have the increases of the liquid precipitation, which is the rainfall, and during the winter.
Lai-Ying Zhu is a geography professor at WMU who has researched climate change and its effects.
Therefore, maybe we don't have a lot of changes in the total amount of precipitation, which include all kinds of liquid and solid snowfalls. But if we have the portion of the rainfall increases because of the rise of the temperature, we will see the decline of the snowfall and in general over several decades.
There's no doubt that winter temperatures in West Michigan are getting warmer. As this graph from Climate Central shows, the average December through February temperature in Grand Rapids is up 5.1 degrees since 1970. And the average winter temp in Kalamazoo from the year 2000 through last year is up even more than that at 5.7 degrees. And while total precipitation during winter is up 20% for the latest climatological measuring period, snowfall during that same period is down 15%. Professor Zhu says that as a warmer climate reduces winter ice on Lake Michigan, we may see more precipitation, but not more snow. Another impact of less ice on the Big Lake, more heavy snow events, like in November 2 years ago, when western Kalamazoo County saw more than 20 inches of snow in just 2 days. But in the month following that big snow, only 4 inches of snow fell, with just 2 days having an inch or more of snowfall.
With the climate change, we may see a lot of those abrupt events. So which means that we may have a long spell of time and doesn't have snowfall at all. And however, and with just single one event, it's just precipitate too much of the snowfalls.
Now, while fewer snow days may sound good for some, it's not good for businesses that depend on consistent snowfall, like ski hills and snowplows. And it's certainly not good for farmers. And here's why. A constant snowpack traps critical moisture in the soil, and that also helps to kill insects. Colin?
Keith, thank you so much. Well, last winter, ice coverage on the Great Lakes was 4.3%, and that's the lowest average since records began in 1973. And while last year was record-setting, many recent winters have seen below average ice coverage on the Great Lakes. This is all part of a trend that's been noticed over the last half century. If you feel like there's been less ice on the Great Lakes over time, you're not wrong. Ice coverage on the Great Lakes has decreased on average about 5% per decade over the last 50 years.
Over the course of the average memory of someone, it's not a large difference. But when you start to accumulate those losses over half a century, it starts to really show up in the numbers.
On an average year, the maximum ice cover on the Great Lakes peaks at about 52%. Years with significantly lower or higher ice coverage are known as low ice or high ice years.
So the probability of seeing a low ice year has increased over time.
Brian Maraska, a meteorologist and physical scientist with the Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory, says there is a strong correlation between low ice years and shorter cold blasts.
Duration of these Arctic outbreaks that come down are shorter. Instead of them being 7 or 10 days long, we're seeing much shorter, 2 or 3 days. They're in, they're out. We're real cold, and then we're back above normal again. When you do that all year round, and you never really get this prolonged period of cold, it's just very difficult for ice to take a foothold and get a good grip on the lakes.
While the trend is decreasing, that is not to say we won't have years that are outliers.
But winter's not gone. We still have cold winters, and we will have high ice years. Probability that it will be a lackluster year is increasing.
Some great info. A little weather trivia to take us to break. When was the last time Kalamazoo experienced a double-digit snowfall in just one day? By double digits, we mean 10 inches or more, by the way, from a system or lake effect event. We'll have the answer coming up after the break.
We'll fix it in a snap. The furnace is free when you install an AC at Service Professor. BOGO is back for a limited time, 2 for the price of 1. Service Professor, we'll fix it in a snap.
In my mind, and the mind of tens of thousands of others we've already represented, Goodman-Acker is the only place to come. Not only do we care about their lives, and they are family to us, but we fight tooth and nail. We are the most competitive lawyers on the face of the earth, and we do not like to lose. Goodman-Acker, good decision.
Save big on your next project at Menards. Mastercraft makes great doors inside and out. Choose from our huge in-stock selection or design your door your way. Get this premium steel exterior door system for $279.99 after rebate. Passload's fuel system makes their cordless nailers the lightest weight in the market, providing longer run times and easy portability. This Passload cordless nailer kit is $310.61 after an 11% rebate.
Save big money at Menards. Live free and drive.
Fall is calling for adventure in a Ford SUV, for conquering Michigan's terrain effortlessly and navigating every path with absolute control. This fall, our complete lineup of Ford SUVs calls for your journey to begin today. Now, returning AZ Plan lessees new Explorer for $449 a month when trading in a vehicle. Only at your neighborhood Michigan Ford dealer.
Live free and drive. Do you need more electrical outlets or lighting in your home? Have Service Professor's licensed electricians fix or install your electrical needs in a snap, plus options to never lose power at your home. Service Professor will fix it in a snap.
Get the News Channel 3 Weather Alert Network app now. Weather comes at you fast. Get the information you need. Download the News Channel 3 Weather Alert Network app now. You're watching News Channel 3's Storm Ready Winter Weather Special, sponsored by Roach Roofing, the big name in roofing.
Welcome back. Our trivia question before the break. When was the last time we saw 10 inches or more of snow in a single calendar day? The correct answer, February 1st, 2015. A winter storm brought 14 inches of snow for Kalamazoo, with reports of, get this, up to 18 inches in Battle Creek. Now, our winters are getting warmer. In fact, winter is outpacing any other season when it comes to the trends, which you can see here. The impacts are already being felt by Michigan's winter sports industry. Following last year's warm winter, it's estimated ski areas lost more than $41 million statewide. For many businesses, trying to recover this winter will be crucial. While we may not all be fans of winter, there's industries at the core of Michigan's culture dependent on cold and snowy weather.
Climate change is the #1 threat to our industry. It's real, and we're facing that. But what we're trying to do is help our ski areas prepare for that.
Mickey McWilliams is the president of the Michigan Snow Sports Industries Association. The group represents the state's ski industry.
Last year was the worst we've ever seen as far as weather conditions for skiing. It was especially mild in Southwest Michigan, and unfortunately, portions of Southwest Michigan weren't eligible for the drought designation that we were able to achieve through the governor's office. So they weren't able to get some small business loans the way some other areas were.
Timber Ridge Ski Area in Gobles, one of our local ski hills that didn't qualify for the interest-free emergency loans.
On record, it probably is our shortest season we've ever had. It was 29 days of skiing, where we normally hope for 90 plus.
Even after a brief window of snowmaking in November,
everything changed, and December was warm, and the start of January was warm, and then we didn't get open until January 12th.
This also prevented Timber Ridge from opening during the holiday stretch, which Schraub says brings in about half of their season's revenue.
We don't like to butt heads with Mother Nature. We would ask that we get a good Michigan winter. That's really all we need around here.
Skiers aren't the only ones feeling shortchanged by Mother Nature. It's been a rough go for ice fishing in West Michigan.
The last couple of seasons have been terrible. I mean, we've had probably, like I say, probably at the most 8 days of ice in the last 2 years.
Charles Hodges manages Double L Bait and Marine in Vicksburg.
We do more business in the winter than we do in the summer when we have ice. Over the last 5 years, yeah, it's gotten less and less and less.
Hodges didn't have to order any inventory for the upcoming winter fishing season. Chatter of the upcoming La Nina winter has some of his early customers optimistic.
They're saying it's supposed to be a good winter, so we'll see. They're chomping at the bit. They want some ice.
And we sure hope they get it. Thank you for that, Will. And West Michigan is notorious for pileups in the winter, but nearly 10 years ago, one of Michigan's worst pileups occurred. 193 vehicles collided on I-94 in Kalamazoo County, leaving one dead and several injured. Here's a look back at this unforgettable event.
It was something out of a movie.
On Friday, January 9th, 2015, calls started coming in about a major crash on I-94 around the 90-mile marker.
Watch yourself!
James Van Dyken, a lieutenant for Kalamazoo County at the time, quickly fled to the scene.
As we arrived, there was a semi-truck and trailer that was carrying fireworks. And I'm talking about like the 4th of July fireworks that go off in the air and boom, not some firecrackers or something like that. The fireworks began to ignite, were ejected from the back of the truck at ground level. And they were coming out at 6 feet high, parallel, and just exploding. People around, it was crazy.
City buses arrived and were able to get people to safety. But while this was going on, more problems kept popping up.
And then the calls started coming in about, there's a tanker here that is leaking acid on the highway, and it's eroding the pavement. There was an enclosed trailer full of firearms that was being transported to the fairgrounds, or the expo center, for a gun show the next day. There was cattle and livestock that were in vehicles that needed to be moved because they were going to die because of the weather as well.
I-94 was shut down for 2 days while crews cleaned up the mess, something unheard of until that day.
Yeah, it's one of those days you'll never forget.
A day Sergeant Joel Niedzwiecki with Michigan State Police will never forget either. He vividly remembers the magnitude of this accident.
Just the size of the accident. I mean, it was probably spread out over 1,500 feet on both east and westbound I-94. It was just an immense accident.
While the size of this accident is rare, smaller pileups happen quite often in this area. Niedzwiecki blames that on the volume of traffic and how quickly weather conditions can change.
If you don't have to travel in bad weather, don't. That's the safest thing to do, but I know people have to work and people have to go places. So if you have to go somewhere, leave yourself extra time, slow down. Probably if you're passing everyone, you're probably the one going too fast.
Yeah, a good reminder there as we enter into snow season. No matter how much experience you have driving in snow, especially lake effect snow, it's always important to take it slow. Keith?
Thanks a lot, Colin. Hard to believe that was 10 winters ago. Coming up, our winter forecast for West Michigan.
Family. Those are the people you rely on, depend on. When you're hurt in an accident, you turn to family. You turn to the Bernsteins. You can trust them like family, and they'll treat you like family. Get the Bernstein advantage. After all, we're all family around here.
Hi, folks. Both stops here. There's a four-wheel drive Nissan for $284 down, $284 a month, taxes included. Sheriff Barry will take care of you. There's a Mustang 2019 with 1,500 miles on it. Here's a certified truck, and we got a lot of certified cars in stock. There's a heck of a Buick, and there's a Cadillac that's like $284 a month. There's 25 Cadillacs in our corral. Don't go where the bull don't stop. Stops at Sundance because we save you money. Value.
West Michigan residents, Roach Roofing, the big name in roofing, has grown. Announcing our Grand Rapids office. 5-star rated Roach Roofing gets the job done right, on time and on budget. Our team of trained professionals are here for you. For roof repairs or replacement, trust Roach Roofing. For a free inspection, call today. Let us take care of your roof so you can focus on what matters most. The big name in roofing, Roach Roofing.
She brought beauty to our lives.
She gave us our time.
She baked us cookies and she made us laugh.
She shared in our special moments.
She celebrated with us.
She was the love of his life.
Mom always took care of us. Now it's our turn. Baxter Funeral and Cremation Service honored Mom's life in a beautiful way.
Baxter Funeral and Cremation Service, Battle Creek's first choice.
Let's talk about getting you the money you deserve after an accident. There's a lot at stake when you've been injured, and choosing the wrong team could be devastating in your recovery. That's why you should call Sam. They've been fighting and winning for families like yours forever. Get the Bernstein advantage. Call Sam.
Get the News Channel 3 app now. Instant alerts the second news breaks. Watch News Channel 3 anywhere. Download the News Channel 3 app now. You're watching News Channel 3's Storm Ready Winter Weather Special. Sponsored by Roach Roofing, the big name in roofing.
Welcome back. You know, when making a winter forecast for West Michigan, the first question to ask is what's going to be happening thousands of miles away in the Pacific Ocean? Because if we're expecting a La Nina or an El Nino, that can be a major factor.
Yeah, exactly, Keith. So first, let's take a look at La Nina, what it is and how it could affect our winter weather of this upcoming season. Now, La Nina describes the cool phase of something called the El Nino Southern Oscillation, or ENSO for short. So ENSO, it describes temperature fluctuations between the ocean and atmosphere in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean. Again, thousands of miles away. Now, following last winter's strong El Nino, NOAA forecasts a weak La Nina forming soon. Cooler than average ocean water in the Pacific region shifts global weather patterns. So during a La Nina winter, high pressure forms in the North Pacific Ocean south of Alaska. This forces systems around and north of that high. This makes the northwest and north central U.S. more susceptible to cold. La Nina typically brings wetter than average conditions to the Ohio River Valley and warmer, drier conditions to the south. Colin.
Yeah, Will, and as you might expect, NOAA's winter outlook closely resembles a typical La Nina pattern. Cooler than average temperatures are favored from the Pacific Northwest to the northern plains, and warmer than average temperatures are favored from the southern tier of the U.S. to the East Coast. Now, wetter than average conditions are favored in the Pacific Northwest and Great Lakes states, while drier than average conditions are favored in the southern tier of the U.S. Jeff?
So, Colin, thank you. One of the ways we can get a sense for what this winter has in store for us is by examining analog winters. Now, analog winters are winter seasons that have already transpired and behave similarly in their macro patterns before and during winter itself. We isolated past winters that were preceded by an El Nino and immediately followed by a slow transition to La Nina conditions during winter. That boiled down to 4 winters for us: 1995, 1996, 1998, 1999, 2010, 2011, and 2016, 2017. Now you're looking at right here, the winter of 95, 96 started with a bang, including 21 inches of snow in November. The seasonal total was a hair above 70 inches. The biggest thing that jumps out about the winter of 1998, 1999 is the 46.5 inches recorded in January. It's the second snowiest January since the late 80s. Snowfall for the season finished just beyond 72 inches. The signature development from the winter of 2010 to 2011 was the nearly 2 feet in both January and February, and the total snowfall measured 61.1 inches. Our last analog winter was 2016 and featured more than 3 feet of snow in the month of December. Wild stuff here. The seasonal total checks in at 63.2 inches. My thanks to Colin and Will for their research, and to the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids for some extra data in 2011.
Well, all things considered, here's a look at our confidence for this winter's forecast. For snowfall, we feel there's a leaning towards near or slightly above average amounts. Temperatures, that's a bit of a toss-up with no clear signal locally. So when it comes to snowfall, we're forecasting around 65 to 75 inches of snow for the season, which is near average or slightly above. Any final thoughts here on what we can expect this winter?
Number one, you could say we're due, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it's been a while since we've had a more traditional winter weather in West Michigan. And I think the other thing is, if you look at the sort of the pattern that sets up, that could maybe favor more lake effect snow events. And look, I think at least 50 inches as sort of a baseline here is probably reasonable.
Yeah. I would just add that it stood out to me that in 3 of those 4 analog winters, which Jeff just analyzed, right, we started the season really slow, which you could kind of argue is kind of happening now, right? We haven't really had snow in the forecast just yet. It's been very mild so far. So we'll see if Mother Nature flips that switch here soon.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point, too. We talked about it in several of our stories, that we get these Arctic intrusions, and we're seeing that overall, we don't really have a clear pattern at how cold or warm it really will be. It's an equal opportunity for temperatures, but I think key will be those cold blasts.
My thing is, it's been more than 10 years since we've had triple-digit snowfall. As Jeff said, we're due. That's not scientific.
It's going to happen sometime.
But we're due. We'll be here with you through the winter, so depend on us. And, of course, we thank you for joining us for our winter weather special.
Spotlight on America investigates.
The demand for housing right now is so high.
3D printing, the American dream.
So any home that you build has a demand for it.
Spotlight on America, tonight at 11 on News Channel 3. It was supposed to be a fun night, but terrifying gunfire turned a party into a tragedy.
That's something you don't forget.
The News Channel 3 I-Team investigates who killed DeMarcus Kelly. Unsolved West Michigan. Monday at 11 on News